Hey everybody, Shay here, welcome back, and I've finished Volume 12 of Attack on Titan by Hajime Isayama, and I'm going to go through it, of course, and highlight the moments that stood out to me, of course, and just commentary along the way, as it is, as I get prompted, once again, by the panels. I literally just finished this, after finishing 11. I want to finish a sweep of it, because it was clearly telling a cohesive story, right? A couple moving pieces going on, and I was very intrigued about how they were going to wrap it up, if that's what they were going to do. I mean, this is very sequential at the end of the day. These things kind of slide volume to volume to volume, but it does feel like there is a general arc going on here. As I start flipping through, of course, I will remember some moments and bring them up. So they're talking in the trees, of course. It's almost before sunset, but they notice that the troops, there's like the signal flares in the distance, and so the Survey Corps, the garrison, etc., are going to be on the way with horseback sooner than they anticipated. So they got to get Eren up and at him, but of course he ends up fighting back because Eren is a maniac that way. So he has to get subdued. He has to get tied to the back of the folks, the two bros, and off they go, zip lining through the forest to try to both evade the Titans that are in the Titan forest and also get some headway against the squad that's quickly approaching them, especially because they got the resistance in the woods. So again, just a lot of words going on here. This one did take me a little longer to read. They were dropping a lot of dialogue exchanges, a lot of characters on the field, a lot of action to really focus on and take in and understand. Like the choreography that was happening on the pages was very difficult at times, but if you read fast, that's the thing. If I'm not commenting and reading, I actually end up picking it up because, you know, you just flip the page and then you find out, oh, this happened, oh, this happened, oh, this person's gone now, right? Like things will start to stitch together, then things end up working out. I mean, there's one or two moments that I kind of like, I'm just going to keep moving forward because I think I know what happened, but I don't want it to have happened. Anyways, that was like in the, again, Act 3 of this volume, but this whole volume feels like an Act 3. So let's talk through it. Anyways, they're ziplining through the forest, kind of talking about, you know, who's on whose side at this point. Like a couple things are going on. Nothing really revealed about the mysteries about what the home, where Reiner and Bertolt want to go, right? Their hometown. Damn it, why am I getting stuck on that word? But we did get some more information in the sense of Ymir. Them bringing Ymir back is something's gone down where she's stolen. I mean, this comes up later in the volume, but I'm not going to remember when I get there. I'm just going to talk about it now. Where Ymir, I should say this up front, is obviously not a non-spoiler review. This is going to be like, I'm talking about the entire volume here, so things are going to get spoiled. So Ymir, I guess she stole the powers from the people. Again, it was an ambiguous word, but I believe it suggested the Titans, the original, whatever they is on the home, like whatever Reiner and Bertolt are at this point, because we don't quite know, because they make comments about when she became human. So it's like a Titan that becomes human. There's a bit of a reversal process, whereas, you know, at least I was thinking as I was going through here, is like, are you making humans into Titans? Because that's kind of what felt implied, right? But this was a bit of a reversal in the sense of like, Ymir was wandering outside of the walls for like 60 years before she came to, and it was literally in the last, 2 pages of this volume where it says, like, you know, had you not put the hole in the wall, then she basically wouldn't have had her opportunity, I guess, to, like, she would have been in a living nightmare forever or something like that. I'll get to that page, but I'm just kind of getting there now so that I'm seeing it. So when I get to the tail end of this review, commentary, vlog, it's not really all of it, all of the above, I'll be able to maybe swing back around and talk about it, because intriguing word use is what I would say with the way that this mangaka writes. It feels sometimes sloppy or a bad translation, or like I'm like, why did you use those words though? And sometimes in the past volumes, I've gotten to these moments where I go, that was an odd word choice, you know? And then a couple volumes later, something happens and you're like, I remember that odd word choice moment that happened. And I can't remember them off the top of my head now, right? But those moments have happened. I know they've happened. And so now that, like, I'm getting hyper aware of when I have those moments where I go, why did you say it that way though? Because you could have said it a different way where it didn't seem to imply something that you haven't explicitly told me, but now you're seeding something if I caught it, you know? And now I don't know if I'm catching real things or not. You know what I mean? I might be kind of inventing things as I go. But in any case, so Ymir steals this. And so I think that she's an example of, like, there's possibly another race of something, man. And they have a power to them. And it's kind of godly in a sense, because she does kind of refer herself to a goddess on the last page. We'll get there. But there's something, but then what does that mean about Reiner and Bertolt? It feels like there's something different. The fact that if they bring her back with Krista, the bloodline, because again, I don't really know what the value of that is yet, because they haven't been explicit about it, but she's important. And what we know right now about Krista is that she's not Krista, she's Historia. And Historia, Erase, is of a bloodline. That's what we know. So is that a bloodline of the original, this original race that now Ymir is talking about, you know, having taken the power from? Is that what Bertolt and Reiner are all about? Because they want to bring Krista back, and if they bring Krista back with Ymir, then basically the idea is that they would ask for the forgiveness of Ymir. She would get killed if she would just go back. They would just destroy her. But if she comes back with Krista, maybe they make a deal. It's kind of what I took away from it. That's what we get while this kind of chaos is going on. There's so much stuff at this point, and I'm only a couple pages in, but when this shit hits the fan, man, I mean, it hits the fan. There's so much action going on right now. Ymir transforms. She's going nuts. She's in the fights with the Armored Titan and the Colossal Titan. The garrison and the Survey Corps are basically trying to get Eren, but the Armored Titan has to clasp around the neck to create this pocket of space where it's got armored protection so that they can't swipe at him, they can't get him back. And so this fight is going on, complete chaos, right? Because we are in that first part of Act 3, we have a scenario where it's going to get crazier, right? And so we have this, when they catch up, of course, Ymir's like, no, we got to go back. If we got to get Krista now, you know? And they're like, we can't get her now. If we stop now, we're going to be we got Titans in the Titans Force. We got like this, everyone's on our ass right now. There's no way we're going to get Krista and pull out of this. She doesn't compromise. Ymir bounces away. She does like numbers of the Krista, and then she's bouncing. And of course, we got this epic shot of the Armored Titan. He gets locked in. They hook in for a ride, and then he zooms off, and of course he's got some speed on his side, but I guess I took away from the comment that because of the last fight with the weak spots, he's got some armor around those weak spots, makes him slower because he doesn't have the agility of the limbs to go any faster, so the horses could catch up, and they ultimately do. We're on a new chapter at this point called Someone. This is when the chaos gets a little bit more nutsy. I mean, Ymir does cough up Krista there. I mean, Krista's gonna have to come too. I mean, disoriented, of course, but they end up having an exchange there, and Krista's basically saying, like, you know, like, I'm here, we're gonna be in this, like, to get, like, wherever you do, I'm gonna be there with you, you know? There's no argument there. So if Ymir wants to go with Reiner and Bertolt, then that's what the plan is gonna be from Krista's perspective. She's living for that moment for Ymir, and so there's not gonna be any kind of, she's not gonna try to get away or pull some kind of maneuver. And it's just like, you know, she's happy. And so this is what we learn. It's like she's kind of doing it because if she doesn't do it this way, Ymir is going to be killed, right? She needs to come back with Krista, with these two, back to their home spot right here. So no matter what happens, I'm on your side. Okay, so that's like a key phrase for this closure of this volume, because that's where the loop's going to happen of this volume. We're going to have our Act 3 moment where it does a mirror pattern back to that line, and the implications of what happens in the tail end resolution of this volume and this potential soft arc, I suppose, of 4 volumes long is what it feels like to me, because it does sort of have a closure to it. Everyone's getting involved here in the fight. I mean, it's still frenetic as hell. It does get very, very crazy to follow along. This one, he does the cup move here to protect them inside the palms while they have exchanges with each other while the fights are going on. It's a lot happening. It's a lot happening right here. Like, it's just I can only imagine what how the anime handles this. It's going to be epic as hell. That's how I feel. And it's, yeah, so a lot of exchanges, even Connie like wondering like, what the hell, like, we trained together, like, was that all a lie, you know, like us being friends, and, you know, we're gonna grow up and drink together and stuff like that. And it's like, no, they're really struggling. Like, something else is going on here. There's like Bertolt here like saying, no, it was all true, but like something else is going on here that, again, was left mostly ambiguous throughout this entire volume. So they have seeded something that's going to definitely trail into the next future volumes. And then this is, of course, where things just have to get crazier. So as they're running away from the people trying to chase them, they're running into another squad that's bringing a bunch of Titans to them. So now they're going to get kind of swarmed, or the Armor Titan is going to get swarmed, and then it's going to be like, I mean, every man for themselves at this point. It's like there's both like a push forward and a retreat at the same time. Again, horses in the frenzy, Titans in the frenzy. I mean, it's just, you don't know who's on whose side, who's going to turn when. Armor Titan is getting swarmed. It was a pretty epic moment. We're at the midway point of this volume, which is where things ultimately have to start going wrong, and they do. I mean, they are completely overwhelming the Armored Titan, and at this point, the advance command, I mean, it doesn't go so well. I mean, he gets caught by the arm here, but, you know, he's hanging on, Commander Irwin, and he's still saying, like, just advance, and he's giving the command for everyone to just go, this is your our opportunity to get Eren back, so just do it. You know, like, he sees himself as an expendable. You know, he does say, like, charge with all your heart, that kind of thing, right? Like, you give your lives to the mission, but it does make me start to think about, like, what is the mission from Eren's perspective, right? Because does he know something? Is he also a Titan? Like, I can't trust anything. I'm not asking these questions because I want them answered. Please don't spoil me in the comments below. But things just get nuts, and I don't know who's on whose side and what the details are that are in play for this to, like, where is this leading? Because I mean, this is 12 episodes in. It's basically a third of the series at this point, so there's plenty of room to go, you know. And I'm still flipping through pages because we just have a lot of this going on. Just a lot of like switching hands. Like now you're in trouble, now you're not. We're at the 75% marks. This is of course where that false death, the kind of the fake defeat but victory kind of moment happens. And it's just them trying to retreat with Eren. Like Mikasa gets Eren back, but then Erwin's in trouble, and then they get Krista back. Like Connie gets Krista, but then it's like Krista's like, I don't want to come back. I need to stay with Ymir. Ymir comes and follows suit because Ymir wants to be with Krista, but Ymir's not attacking Connie. It's such a disaster. But then when the Armor Titan and Berthold, Ymir does abandon Krista, and that's kind of for Historia, and that's kind of curious. I'm not sure how, like, yeah, we'll get there. There's gonna be next volume, sure. Like we'll get to the tail end of this one too, and I'll talk about it at the in the closure. But then this Titan appears, Smiley. I don't know what that Gums Titan. Dental Titan. Anyways, and it ends up being the one, because we get a flashback, it ends up being the one that kills Eren's mom. So we have this opportunity now, or I mean, Haynes does. Haynes is like, this is what chance of how often do you get this chance, right? One chance in a lifetime to get this revenge, to get this, like, because, you know, he was shitting his pants, you know, and so he has an opportunity to kind of go in there and take care of business. Oh, I've got to settle this myself. Well, I mean, he's definitely swatting away. He's doing his thing. And this is where I start to lose sense of what's going on in battle. Because he's up in this little corner here. He's the little dude. He's this guy swinging right here. Okay? It's because I believe that's the same Titan. Now I start to lose it. I don't know where Haynes is in this fight. I got a close-up of Armin. But then we have this other Titan here that shows up, right? Kind of squatting, but it doesn't really matter. We get the Armor Titan kind of showing back up. Do you not care anymore if Eren gets eaten? And again, this is where things just Ymir ends up racing back. My plans are ruined because of you, Commander. And then she comes in for the Commander and swats, so saves the Commander. And he's like, what the hell? Why? Why is Ymir on my side now? No questions, no questions. There's a cool moment here with the spread where Krista's like, the whole idea of like fighting together, or like doing it for yourselves, but it's more like doing it for ourselves. Like, we're going to be in this together and we're going to be selfish about it. But I like this moment where Krista like tags on to Ymir, rides her, and like she gets this like frenzy in her eyes of like, and she goes into this like, she's ready to go, like right here. She's just ready to like kill. Like, so they do this combo, a bit of a Wolverine Hulk moment, if you know comics. And so that was kind of fun, especially with Krista. But then this is where I got thrown off, because I'm like, who? Because I'm pretty sure that's the Commander. And it's like, nom nom, nom nom, nom nom nom. His armor's gone. And then it's just a... It's like, was that the Commander? Because, but I don't think it was the Commander, because then the Armor Titan is coming, and I say this because, I mean, then this happens, I mean, that's pretty bad, right? But the Commander one was throwing me off, because there was a scene, I mean, right here, that looks pretty bad, right? Like, that looks like a pretty bad end. I don't know what to say here, but Eren's like freaking out, he's like kind of going mad at this point. I didn't get the scene with the Commander, the one that's confusing me, like, I mean, as long as you're not spoiling me, I mean, don't say something you shouldn't be saying. But like there was like, I feel like Armin was pulling the Commander like half of a body away or something like that at some point. And so that's where I was like, well, who got eaten by the head? Because like there was definitely one that got taken by the head. Anyways, back to Eren. Eren's having this freak out moment. He's just raging out, and he's saying like, you know, because he had that flashback with the mom, like, you know, because he rushes into fights, and they've been talking about this for 2 volumes now, right? But the fact that he rushes into fights and says, so not one thing changed. Look at me. I'm completely useless now. I'm still just a boy who can't do anything. Because he's saying that while that moment's happening. Like, could that be Haynes? Like, Haynes just got destroyed by the one that that's what I'm thinking happened. Haynes got destroyed by the Titan that took out the mother, and so he's kind of going mad at this point. He's kind of having a break, you know. And Mikasa is like, in this moment of complete chaos and insanity, Mikasa's like, no, that's not true. She smiles at him. Well, it's like he's got this like the crazy in his eyes, you know. And this is happening all around them, you know. The mom is like the mom eating Titan here, just mom eating Titan, whatever. It's just kind of like, is she licking her fingers? It's like she's licking the hangs off of her fingers, and she's like, there's something I want to say. While this moment is happening, I'm like, Mikasa, this might not be the moment to say any of this. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for teaching me how to live Mikasa, what are you doing right now? Thank you once again. Well, this chaos is happening. Well, this chaos is happening. Is that the part where he's like, yeah, see, like he's pulling like a body away? Oh, they have all the limbs. So that's not it. That's like maybe I don't know who that is right now. Because this scene is destroying, disorienting the hell out of me for wrapping the scarf around me. Mikasa, how wonderful of you to consider thinking about the whole scarf moment. But then this happens. Flaming fist. And Eren's like, I'll wrap you in it again. Oh, the first time I read that, I was like, was that evil? Like you're going to strangle her? Like Eren. How are you saying this? Protective? Oh, I guess it's protective. Okay, so I guess it's protective. It's just like, what a weird correlation of text and visuals. I don't even know what to say. And then it says again and again, forever. These keywords matter, man, because it goes back to the first volume and the first title of the first chapter. And I remember this was years ago at this point. I think I started reading volume 1. It was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I was going to do this as a series. I'm pretty sure. But I remember a comment that I made. And maybe I made it in the anime as well, which is why it's sticky now. Was it in the anime? I don't know. It was definitely in the manga, and it was on a page, and it was in a panel. And it was one of the first comments I made about her hair. Like Eren makes a comment about, did your hair get shorter? And I was like, I'm a very big fan of time travel films. So when you see me with things like this, with words like this, and I don't take any words and language for granted, especially in this manga now, because of how often it's done this stuff where I'm like, that was a weird just way of saying it. But is it? Or is it like it's not such a subtle thematic loop or weaving going on here that has to do with time? What was the title of the first chapter? Say, I just 2,000 years from now, something like that, right? I'm like, I don't know. And then there was a comment of, we'll get there, because I'm right at the tail end. We'll get there, and why this is important. And maybe they're going to start to really give us the exposition. The macro level exposition will be in the next 8 volumes, because we'll kind of be in the act 2-ish range of the entire series. And so I get to think about things in that way. When will they drop a bunch of like reveals and stuff like that on us? Well, I guess kind of in this moment, right? These kind of volumes would be our act 2-ish of the entire series, right? We're kind of entering it. And so now they're starting to see these like, hey, there's a bigger story going on here that you're going to want to stick around for, because we're about to drop a bunch of seeds. I mean, this moment right here, it's clearly important. It's clearly important because he's not in Titan mode right now. And he does a swing up punch kind of motion here, and when he lands it, he lands it. And so he's got like Titan strength in human form. Now, is this a whole new evolution? Is this something else that happens? Is this like part of his power? Does this have, there's something else going on with Eren, and he's our protagonist. And so the big takeaway for me though is that this was a massive reveal drop that is supposed to carry the rest of the series. This is the turning point where it's like you're either in or you're out, at this point. But if you got to this point of the series where you're like, what does the wall actually represent? What was the religion behind the wall actually represent? What does Krista and the bloodline and the whole erase stuff and it's other, there's something else going on here, man. And there's another comment by Ymir about like leaving the walls isn't so much leaving the walls that there's nothing out there, like we can survive out there, you don't have to be in the walls. And her comment about we'll get there let me get to the last couple pages here. And so this moment kind of confused me at one point because I didn't know how it happened, but he does this he does the punch, right? But he does this thing, these panels right here. I didn't really understand. I was like, is this an energy transfer because he's transferring the power of the Titan through his punch, and then whatever. But then this happens. It's like all these Titans start rushing the zone and just ravaging the Titan that ate the mom. And at that point, I'm like, because they even say like, why are they eating that thing? Like they get confused about it. Well, just wait. Because you get this moment where it's like, okay, well, Reiner doesn't feel like he's going to be able to protect Bertolt at this point because he's still got a bunch of stuff around him, And so Eren's now screaming, stay back. You hear me, you bastards? I'll kill all of you. And this crackly thing happens with the eyes and the thingamajig and something going on there. And then what happens? They turn. They turn from the ones that they're gobbling, and they turn towards the Armored Titan. Not swarming, ends up stalling up the Armored Titan so that they can get away. And so it's like, does Eren have the Beast Titan powers? Like, he can scream a command that controls these aberration Titans. I keep saying the wrong name. It's aberrant, aberration, abominations, aberrants. I got this. Hold on. Why does this happen every time? It's a D&D problem. That's my thing. Abnormals. Damn it. Abnormals. Okay. And then, so they bounce. They get a retreat off. Okay. And then get a Ymir saying sorry to Krista, because Ymir turns around and she goes and helps Berthold and Reiner out of this predicament. That's a turn of events, because it goes back to, we're going to do this together, be selfish, but wherever you are, I'm going to be there as well. And and so what is that going to mean for the future? Well, we don't know, but that hole was created, and that's what kind of started a bunch of stuff off. We get this epilogue-ish kind of scene here where Berthold, Reiner, and Ymir are talking this through. It's like, basically, hey, why'd you come back and save us? Because, like, why'd you switch to our side? And she says, well, I'm here so you have something to hand over, so these two don't go back to their home. And I don't know, will they get punished for not bringing Krista back? And he transparently just says, do you understand that there's no hope of you being rescued if we go home from here? If you're going to run, now is the time. Okay, I read that a different way. When I reread it the second time, the first time I read that, I was like, so if she gets taken back, she's going to get wrecked? I mean, I still feel like that was implied, because they say that in the first quarter of the volume, And so when I read that the first time, I'm like, oh, so she's basically sacrificing herself when she gets back. And like when I flip the page, it's going to kind of suggest that. But the way I reread this the second time, it more sounds like wherever they're going, the humans are never going to find them. The humans are never going to get to where they're taking her. So there is no saving. So if they decide they're in prisoner, is she going to be tortured? Are they going to kill her because of her betrayal or whatever happened there? Then there's no one's going to save her. She's signing up for basically a doom, right? And so that's kind of the exchange they have here, that she's okay with it. She's tired, I've just had enough. We're told to ask, like, why did you rescue me? Well, maybe because I heard your voice. If you hadn't come to destroy this wall, I would have been stuck in an endless nightmare. I would have been stuck in an endless nightmare. And so you go, why did you use that word? Why an endless nightmare? Is it a loop? Is there a time loop going on? You see how I'm kind of putting these pieces together? Please don't spoil me. But that's where it would happen. And my phone is buzzing right on the end of this, but that's okay. We're going to keep going. And so it says, she says, all I did was repay a debt. I'm the only one who knows about your situation too. I'm the same way. I was hopeless on my own. Thank you, Ymir. I'm sorry. And she says, and that's where she wraps up. It's fine. Being a goddess doesn't feel so bad either. What? Being a goddess. So I feel like is there a proto race? I'm going back to Greek legends and stuff like that too, right? Where the Titans came before the humans, that kind of thing, right? So I've got a bit of that bias going into this, just for context as well. I was working on this World Bible for this massive idea tied to the Titans, tied to the Greek legends of the Titans, but before that, there was like this idea I had where it was like the beginning of time. I was trying to map the beginning. Okay, let me rewind a little bit just for context, because now I feel like some pieces are coming into place, and it's kind of reminding me of this idea. I started drafting, and the document's out there somewhere if I ever had to prove it. But it was like 15 years ago. I was working on something. I forget what it was called, Aperion or something like that. But it was the idea of like, I was going to go to the beginning of time, so the Big Bang, right? And I have this spreadsheet, literally a spreadsheet of mapping different culture mythologies on each column, and then kind of finding where some of the things repeat, and trying to find a way to map it to passage of time. So I have like the dinosaurs are in there, right? Like there's a certain 65 million years ago. But then I went through Lovecraftian lore, right? And when Lovecraftian lore says that certain events happen, I was trying to map it to this Lovecraftian, like, historic thing that takes us to current day, but kind of takes us to this Faustian deal scenario where Dr. Faustus makes a deal with Mephistopheles and goes back in time. I'm kind of going into some weird literature stuff, history, but I was bringing a bunch of literature stuff together to kind of understand, is it possible for you to map the Great Flood to events that might have happened across multiple cultures and Lovecraftian lore, and then kind of go back to the Titans and that. But effectively, they were proto-entities in the kind of tapestry I was creating, and the proto-entities become the gods. The gods are like kind of seeds that come from these Titans, these proto-entities, and then they kill the Titans off and the gods, right? But then the gods end up creating the humans, right? And there's like this tier of, I guess, existence that happens through those ages that gets us to the modern age. And then I have this, I was going to do a comic about something in the modern day, but it would take into consideration these things that happen and that wove through these moments in history with these different entities. Anyways, so that being said, this is where I'm kind of like, I'm going to start bringing some weird conceptual pieces as I read this, because I'm getting a sense that there's something similar to that going on here, where Isayama is going back to that original source, you know, of what the Titans are, and then kind of going, okay, what if they were these giants that roamed the earth, right? And they weren't these dummy ones that are these abnormals running around, right? Is that they're actually intelligent. They were the original beings, you know? And so is there something like that going on where you have like the original Titans, which is maybe where she stole the power from, like she stole the power from the gods, right? And I'm talking Ymir specifically, right? Like she stole the power, because that's what she says explicitly. So how she did that, we're going to find out, you know? But back to it then. We have this original race. We have what comes of them. So there's the pantheon, right? If you will, like she just says in the last page too, like the whole goddess comment, right? It's like, is that like effectively what the Greek pantheon or the Roman pantheon might be like, right? Interchangeable to some degree. You know what I'm saying, right? If you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? So you have that, the ones that consider themselves like the gods, the ones that maybe were intermediaries between the Titans and the humans that come after the gods. Maybe that god pantheon, the god titans, the titans, man, because I don't know don't spoil me, Jesus. And anyways, then there's the humans, right? Whatever the humans are and however they get created. But then they kind of populate the world. Maybe something happens. It looks like some sort of apocalypse happens because there's only this human cluster in this, behind these walls. Are there more things like this out in the world? I don't know how big the world is. I don't know if this is Earth, right? But you could speculate, possibly there's like these pods in different places around the globe, you know, of this, the last remnants of civilization that happened because something happens. And again, we're talking about like, does a million years pass? I don't know. What does time really mean? At the beginning of the chapter says, the beginning of the series, it talks about 2,000 years from now, or whatever the title of that chapter is, right? But is it 2,000 years past? What, 2,000 years after what? A bomb? Like some apocalypse, some global humanity eradication event? I don't know. Could possibly be what's going on. Does nature have enough time to kind of grow back? Yeah, it does. I read this other book about like how fast nature will just take things over, you know? It's pretty fast. Not entirely like city blocks, like cement and steel take a lot longer to degrade, you know? So you'd find like abandoned cities out there, but I don't know. We have to they have to travel out into the world, and then maybe if I see things, it's going to start to piece together some lore around the world too, and it's going to like talk about what this event might have been. We got in the earlier volumes of the series, right, Armin talking about the books that he found that talk about seas and deserts and stuff like that, right? So, and ice. So it looks like there's an awareness that this geography does exist out there, you know? So I'm wondering if there's like, now this is a setup. I was trying to find out what my point was for the end of this outro, because I've been rambling on for a bit. But I'm wondering if like these are the seeds for now us to go into the exploration mode of the Act 2 of the series. Does that make sense? So we're going to have a couple of volumes now where they're just going to give us what some of these pieces might mean that I kind of rambled on for the last 5 minutes, whatever I edited this together as, because that was chaos coming out of my mouth. I'm going to try to organize it with editing, because I want to say enough to kind of establish where I'm at when I'm going to be reading these books and having these vlogs along the way, because they're blind. So please don't spoil me on the way for me to like get to those moments, right? I still want to make sure that this be a vicarious experience for all of you who are jumping on and kind of seeing it from the perspective of someone who has many years in English studies and mythology and legends and fantasy and stuff like that, and so that and writing and crafting worlds and gaming books and stuff like that. Like I've done things like, so my brain is filled with a lot of stuff that is definitely getting captured by what's going on with Attack on Titan, because it's not just the characters that are now developing. There is slow development happening with the characters, but at this point it's like the world itself is developing, if that makes sense. It's just enough moving with a character here, a character there, we get a little more, you know, like that's still happening and it's holding things together. More than anything, this series is more like the world itself is starting to unveil the interesting parts of where the story feels like it's going. I'm kind of getting intrigued by the world more than the characters. That's a weird thing to say, because like I enjoy the characters. The core team development it's sort of predictable to some degree until they die. Like Walking Dead style, it's like you're developing a character and then now they're gone. And when you kind of get adapted to that, you're like, it can happen anytime. And so because I got a huge history of reading Walking Dead, and what was another series that, Game of Thrones, right, is a clear one, but Walking Dead was the big one. It's like you stop getting attached to characters when you feel like they're just part of a living, breathing world that's developing, and sometimes real things happen to take them out, and it's not always when you expect. Like their story sometimes doesn't have an arc to it. They just happen to they become expendable when you least expect it, you know? And maybe that becomes part of the story, or maybe they're Titans and they come back later. Like that's a thing. Like we don't even know with this series. I feel like I deviated a lot on this outro because, you know, I kind of, now that I'm kind of doing them this way, this format, I feel like it's more like the the discussion part of it is what could be fun. It is the more fun part to me, right? But like talking about these things, especially like after reading it, it's still kind of live and raw and wild, you know? And so I get to kind of express that hopefully as a vlog, so that it still conveys some of the enjoyment of having read the book, and it still feels like it's like I'm just coming out of the experience, you know, like I'm still putting pieces together as I'm speaking them out loud, you know, and that's part of the experience for me too, which I do find fun. So I'm just gonna wrap this one up here. I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.